W-H-I-T-N-E-Y. Who's that girl? It's Whitney Reynolds. Oh, she's got a show. Catch it on the weekends. Every single Saturday, right at noon. On Chicago's NBC 5.2.
Hello and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Reynolds, and today we are talking about getting a job. I'm sure most of you are out there wondering, okay, I'm in a position now, how do I get to my dream job? Or maybe you're unemployed and looking for that perfect position. Well, we are going to help you today here. The W3 team has a full lineup of people that are going to help you, starting with David Fisher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here because not only are you a consultant now, president of your own company, but you used to be in HR. So I feel like you're the perfect person to help coach some ideas into the people that are watching on ways they can get a job.
Great. I don't know about perfect, but hopefully pretty good.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the company you're with now.
Well, Rockstar Consulting is a professional development firm. We do coaching one-on-one with individuals, as well as I do personally a lot of speaking. And then I'm also the head of training for Ajax Social Media, which is the only training company on LinkedIn certified by LinkedIn.
That's awesome. So we're going to get all to that later on in the interview. But first of all, going back to your HR days, when people would come to you or with applications or they would send in their resume, what were some things that stood out that were major no-nos?
Actually, in the beginning of the interview process, especially when you're looking at resumes, you're actually, in my opinion, looking for reasons not to bring someone in. So some of the big no-nos you're looking for, even just presentation is the first place I always looked. If you couldn't have a clean, crisp resume, I knew the kind of work I would be getting from that person if I hired them.
Absolutely. So one of the things I was talking about with some of my girlfriends that were applying for jobs is the 2-page resumes. Like, to me, that is way too much.
It actually depends. If you're entry level, if you're kind of new in your career, yeah, 2 pages is completely unnecessary.
Right.
If you're an established, somebody who's established in their career, if you've been out in the world a while, in the workforce a while, you might need 2 pages to accurately convey your story. And so it really depends on where you're at in your career.
Okay, so for my college students that are interns here on the show, would you recommend them of course they would put their internship with me, but would you recommend if they were like president of student council at DePaul?
President of Student Council is a pretty impressive position. I definitely would.
So you would put?
Yeah, anything that's going to help them tell their story of how they can bring value to the organization.
What about a sorority or a fraternity? Would you add that?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
So right out of school, you're saying it is okay to include a lot of your college experience because that's what they've been doing. It's
what they've been doing, and again, the big thing is to make it relevant to what they're trying to do. What's that next step? What kind of job are they looking for? That really will determine what experience from their college career they're going to bring in.
Fillers on resume. There might be a year where you didn't have a job. Do you fill it with something that maybe was there, but it maybe wasn't? Like, I know for me, it's always a red flag if I see a year that maybe someone wasn't working. I'd rather see they were volunteering somewhere or maybe have a position of some sort during that time.
I think you have to be careful about making things up.
That's probably a very good point.
And it's interesting, we all take off time for different reasons. It'd be very different if you're 23 and you took a year off because you traveled the world. Okay. Well, put that down. That's a pretty interesting.
You would put that you traveled the world?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you go to the other side of the world, if you can tell me that you were in Thailand and were able to navigate
you were in
Milwaukee, the world. You were in Milwaukee, not quite as exotic. But what an amazing skill set to say that you were able to go into a foreign country and, again, get through the day. That's something that you might be able to translate into a skill that's going to help that company. So
when people actually get that interview, how would you tell them to approach it? One of the things that I always did, and I'm speaking from my own experience, I would go in as if I already had the job. I would go in as if I was trying to decide if they were the company I'd want to be with. So almost like I had a little bit more confidence when I walked in. Confidence is critical.
One thing I always tell people, though, is you want to assume that you have the job, but more importantly, you want to really try to find a good fit.
Right.
I kind of look at it like dating. If you're going on a first date, do you want to assume you have a second date? Maybe, it depends if you like the person. You might not want a second date. So the more you can go into an interview going, my goal is to figure out if this works. If this is something that we should continue talking about. Just like, again, a first date, both people are going, hey, is this a match? Should we have a second date? It's the same thing with the job interview.
Going back to the thing you told us about earlier, the LinkedIn stuff, how important is that for people looking for a job?
I think it's critical, and actually it's, I think, critical for everybody, even if you have a job now, but you might be looking for one in the future. Even if you love where you're at, you never know what's going to happen.
When I first moved here, I was trying to get a job in TV, and I kept meeting people that worked on another talk show, and I would meet them, and I would say, oh my goodness, I will Facebook you, and I remember them looking at me, and it was new.
Right.
Coming from Texas, I don't know if LinkedIn wasn't as big then, or, you know, but they would say, LinkedIn me. And I was like, what? And I remember going home and looking it up, and I was like, okay, I got to set up. So I've been on LinkedIn for a while, and then, you know, obviously, like now, I just would rather people go through my website than LinkedIn me. But it is a way that's not as informal as Facebook, would you say?
Absolutely. LinkedIn really is the premier professional social network out there.
It is. And so it's not offensive if someone sends something through LinkedIn.
No, in fact, I mean, it's getting to be expected. Even in the last 18 months, we've seen huge growth in it. Right now, there's 150 million professionals on LinkedIn, and not everybody gets to have their own TV show and has their own website.
Right. That is a good point.
So, you know, just for all the professionals out there, whether you're, you know, an executive, a manager, a line worker, salesperson, accountant, it gives us a place to have that professional record of note. And if you are looking for work, it's definitely a place that potential employers are looking, not only for candidates, but also when you do reach out, that's one of the first places they look.
One thing I would caution people, I know with LinkedIn, when I get on there, every now and then I see kind of the same Facebook type updates, because I think they have it linked. They have it like all linked together.
Right.
And so for LinkedIn, I would really caution people, if you're using it to get a job, keep it very professional.
Absolutely. You know, different sites have different etiquette.
Right.
So what would be normal on LinkedIn is not acceptable on Facebook, or, you know, Twitter is completely different.
Where can people find out more about you?
I'm all over the internet. You can find me at my LinkedIn profile.
There you go.
LinkedIn.com/in/DavidJPFisher.
Okay, great.
Or rockstarconsulting.com.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, coming up next, we are going to hear a 30-second pitch from a man desperate to get a job. We'll see if you're hiring right after this break. This portion of Weekends with Whitney is brought to you by Gia Lux. For that gorgeous, intelligent, ambitious woman who knows what she wants, Gia Lux designer handbags brings that high-end style at a reasonable price. Make a statement this spring and add color to your life with Gia Lux. Visit www.shopgia.com for the entire spring collection.